Hey everybody, I'm Bob Bakert with Jazz Guitar today, and I'm here with Peter Henriksen, who's got a lot to talk about, actually. I'm glad to see you. You're looking great.
Thanks, Bob. Good to see you too.
Yeah, you're
Feeling
looking
good.
great. So
Thanks.
what has 120 watts, weighs 13 pounds. It's 9 by 9 by 9. It's dual channel if you want it to be. EQ, reverb, phantom power, studio quality line out, external speaker out, headphone jack, all kinds of stuff in this thing.
hmm
And Bob Baker takes it to every one of his gigs.
I'm glad it's working for you.
And you can use it with a microphone and a guitar. So
That's right.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's 9 by 9 by 9. It's this big. It is the size of a toaster. I was
It,
gonna bring it upstairs and like stick it in front of your face, but
I normally have one right next to me, but we took it to the fretboard summit, so it's not here.
oh, okay. So we didn't answer the question. Why, of course, it is
It's the Bud.
the
The
Bud
Bud
6.
6. Yep.
I gotta tell you, man, before we get into what I want to talk to you about, Uh, that is an amazing, amazing, amazing product. And
Thank you.
every time I use it, and people say to me, "Well, where's the PA system? Where's the PA system?" I mean, these days I don't play the, Royal Albert Hall very often anymore, or Carnegie Hall. So I'm playing a lot of like, small restaurant type gigs and stuff like that where I'm still singing and I tell you, that's all I take. I take that, a microphone stand and a microphone and my guitar and a cord, plug it in, I'm off to go. The reverb in that thing is great. It works wonderfully. It's got plenty of low end for voice and I typically I'll either take my acoustic guitar because it sounds great on my acoustic,
Yeah.
or I'll take my 17-inch jazz box and it works. It just that 6-inch speaker, the way you got it coupled with the port, it just grabs it. It's a great product. So you are to be
Thank you.
continued to be hailed for building the most amazing little thing I've ever come across. I mean it's like right up there with an SM58 as far as I'm concerned.
That's that's a huge compliment.
Well,
Thank
it's true. I mean, there's
you.
nothing there's nothing like it, and there's a lot of people that have tried, to make small amplifiers, and but they just don't. The quality just, it's just not there. I mean, that thing is true quality. I've played it with, um, you know, less than $1,000 guitars and $25,000 guitars, and
Sure.
it speaks to each and every one of those. So anyway,
Well,
um,
thank you. I'd love to take full credit myself, but I have a great team here who makes it happen and helped us design it in the first place. And it wouldn't happen without all my help.
well, I do understand that. I was going to say something like, "Oh no, take all the credit." But yeah, most big things take a village,
Yep.
and there's somebody that did this, somebody did that, and all that. So anyway, you did a very, very cool thing lately. You let me see, I have a little bit of hair left. Um, so you're not only
Here somewhere.
you don't only own the hair restoration company, but you're a client. So not only do you have, the jazz guitar amplifier and acoustic guitar amplifier that is just the best there is in the world, as far as I'm concerned, um, but you're also a player.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, yeah. All right. So let me
I'm
say,
on my way. I'm on the
You
road.
went you went to the Pete Hutlinger Guitar and Fly Fishing Camp 2025, August the 4th through 7th and August the 11th through 14th. Um, and and you became a client, if you will.
Yep. So
And
we've sponsored some events before. We've done some workshops and clinics and even camps as a sponsor. Uh,
mhm.
and I've been around. I've shown up for, like the opening dinners and concerts and stuff, but I've never participated as just a participant. And we went through such a tumultuous year last year in terms of moving the shop and changing properties, and things are kind of more settled now. So I had told myself that 2025 was going to be the year I actually learned how to really play one of these things. So,
I've been saying that for 55 years.
right. So part of my buckling down strategy was to attend a camp, and I love fly fishing. And so my friend Sean McGowan is one of the instructors at the Pete Huttlinger camp, along with Jeff Troxel. And they both were like, even I feel it like myself, my playing was just rank beginner. And I felt very uncomfortable signing up for a camp just because I didn't feel like my skills were at that level where I would benefit from it, number one, and number two, not like drag the whole crew down and, just embarrass myself not being up to speed. So Sean gave me some stuff to work on in order to get to that point, and I spent a few months working on it. And by the time I got there, I really did feel comfortable, and I was able to absorb the lessons that they had and follow along, and it was just a hugely beneficial thing. So I'm very glad that I went, and I'm very glad that there's a camp that takes you fishing at the end of it.
Well, we're talking, of course, about Sean McGowan,
Yeah,
who we've interviewed him, we've had him on, we had him on, I think, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Dr. Sean McGowan,
right.
I might mention, who he not only is he an educator at the highest level, but he's also a monster player
Yeah,
and one of the preeminent fingerstyle players in the country, if not the world. I mean,
yep.
he's just a great player. And who else was there teaching?
Uh, Jeff Troxel,
Yeah,
who he lives near, the camp was in Livingston, Montana, and Jeff I think is in Cody, Wyoming, the
yeah.
Yellowstone area, and Pat Ferguson came and joined us, and so
Well,
between the three of them, it was really uh, it covered a lot of ground. And some of it was kind of theory heavy, so I took a lot of notes and felt like I got hit with the fire hose of information. But
right.
they're also really, really good at filtering it out for each individual's, particular skill level, which for me is like a 0.5 out of 10, very just I've owned a guitar since junior high. I played in a couple bands,
You
and
play bass though, right?
yeah, I mostly played electric bass my whole life and just cover bands and stuff, but
Yeah.
never really dove into the guitar. My dad tried to make me a good enough guitar player to comp behind him play. We tried to get a jazz guitar duet going before he got sick, and
Yeah.
it's hard to learn from your dad, number one.
Yeah. I have to.
Parents don't make good teachers usually, and number two, we just didn't have the time. So
Yeah.
it's been 15 years, and it just really like I got a lot of good advice, including my friend Jan Greenspan was like, "Don't open your computer. Wake up, drink coffee, play guitar, and just do that very first thing in the morning before you literally do anything else."
Now,
So
who
that
gave you that advice? Because I love that.
Jan Greenspan, he's a friend of mine that I've met through other camps and through guitar stuff.
Yeah.
And he's a busy business owner, and he just said, "It's the only way I can do it is to wake up and play guitar." And so,
I have to go to the coffee pot first.
yes, me too, me
Yeah,
too.
I have to fudge the formula just a little bit.
Yeah,
I got to get to that coffee pot. Otherwise, nothing happens. But
right. For me, it's I still have a kid in school, and we've got, stuff going on in the morning. So it's not the first thing I do, but it's the first thing I do here in my office.
sure.
I show up, turn the coffee on, and then play for a half hour, and try to remember something and practice.
I think that, well, a couple of things. just well, I'll comment on that. I think a little bit every day is better than 10 hours on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Uh,
for me,
yeah,
that's
well, I think it is for everybody. I've taught a whole lot of things, and I've taken a lot of lessons in a lot of things.
yeah.
And a little bit of this, I play a lot of pickleball these days,
Hmm.
and I go to the pickleball court every day. And even if I'm just hitting against the wall for a half an hour, it keeps that muscle memory going. It
Yeah.
helps with the eyes. And I of course I play guitar. I played guitar every day since Moby Dick was a minnow.
Yeah.
Um, but so let me ask you this, because I I love Erin very much. I mean,
Hmm.
she is such a
He's
sweetheart.
great. Yeah.
Um, Erin Hutlinger, and and she's doing this primarily to honor her late husband, Pete Hutlinger.
Yeah.
The camps are in honor, to honor Pete, who, among other things, was John Denver's guitar player. But he was also a soloist himself, and he had a whole career aside from, being John Denver's guy.
Yeah.
Wonderful, 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 wonderful player, and a super nice guy. I got to meet him when he came to Atlanta to play the shows in this small club. He's just great. So that it's called the Pete Hutlinger Guitar and Fly Fishing Camp. So
Yeah.
let's talk about this a little bit.
Sure.
So
Of
you're
course.
you're you're telling us that you're a point 0.5 out of a scale of 1 to 10 guitar player. Well, I don't I don't know. I find that hard to believe, especially if you spend a couple months, woodshedding the material. But all right, here's the big question. Did you get anything out of the camp?
I did. We caught 5 fish. Um,
Not what I was looking for, but
yeah,
but good for you. How big?
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I got a ton out of the camp, and just for anybody watching this who's like never been at a camp, and just feels like they're too much of a beginner, and they wouldn't get anything out of it. I'm like the most beginner jazz guitar player you could possibly imagine, and I got a lot out of it. What I worked on to get there was shell voicings, guide tone voicings, and that really made sense. Having played a lot of electric bass, just playing the 1, the 3, and the 7, and just working on that. That tiny little tidbit of theory is kind of the foundation for
Right,
everything. And that allowed me to like, a lot of stuff went over my head, but there was so
right.
much information. If you absorb 10% of it,
Yeah,
it's
for the people, I mean, most of the people are going to roll their eyes, and I don't mean to be pedantic, but what we're talking about, the reason 1, 3, and 7 are so important. 1 is obviously going to be the root, so that's what we're going to call it. 3 is going to determine major or minor. So if it's a flat 3, you're going to have a minor. The three most important notes in any chord are actually the two most important notes are the third and the seventh.
yeah,
So the seventh is gonna, if it's within the diatonic scale, it's gonna be the major seventh, which follows the scale, and if it's flatted, it's gonna be a dominant.
yeah,
So that's a big deal when you're doing two fives, because the dominant chord is also the 5 chord, and that's what, it can be other chords, but predominantly.
yeah.
So
So
I just want to,
I went into this camp with like you just summed up the entirety of my jazz guitar knowledge in 2 sentences.
well, I know there's a lot of people out there that are, that just went to the bathroom while I was explaining that. But there's
Well,
also people
everybody's
out
got to start somewhere, and
well,
I
there's
think
also people out there that go,
yeah.
what are we talking about here?
Right. Well, the cool
So,
thing about this camp is that there was somebody, there was me at my level, and then
right,
there was a couple people who play, semi-professionally on the weekends who were still at the camp learning
right,
because the instructors have that breadth of knowledge and they're able to break out the camp into different groups of different abilities. And everybody got a ton out of it from me to somebody who, like you said, was like, it's not about revisiting stuff you already know. It's
right.
about, you know, the that's why having great instructors is so important. They can pick out individual, okay, this person needs to work on this person needs to work on this, and you can stay on topic just at different levels.
Right. Well, that's why, having Pat there and Sean there, and I've never met Jeff, but
That's great. It's
his
awesome.
his reputation is, and all of his, by the way, all of his press, because I read everything about, everything that's in the press about him before I interviewed Aaron and Sean. And he's obviously great. And and that is the hallmark of a great teacher and a great program. That, I mean, we're not talking, this is not university here. So this
Right.
is, university, you got to go in, you play in front of the jury, if you will, and they either accept you or they don't, and they expect you to be blah. But this is people that love the instrument coming and taking their level and trying to bring it up. No matter if you call yourself a point five, if you're a point five, or you're a five, or you're a seven, or even if you're a 10, there's always, that's the beauty of this instrument, is there's always,
Always something.
yeah, it's infinite, it's infinite, because we're not only dealing with the notes, you're also dealing with rhythm, you're dealing with harmony, you're dealing with, all of the relationships between all the notes, and all that. There's so much. It just goes on and on and on and on. It's kind of like, I hate to say this, it's kind of like the universe, you think you know something, and then all of a sudden you're, oh, well, we
Right.
just discovered a whole new nebula. It's
Right.
and that's how I feel on the guitar. I go, all of a I open up this door, and it's not like the door and you go into a room. You open up this door and it like, "Ah," it's in, and having great teachers that have kind of been down those paths before you,
Yeah.
and they can see and understand, where you're at, and teach you in a way, because I know the personalities of both Sean and Pat, that you don't feel like you're being talked down to.
No, not at all. Not
Yeah,
at
you
all.
don't feel like you're being patronized. You don't feel like,
Yeah.
well, why don't you try? I mean, you're being treated as an adult that wants to learn more.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why you're here.
Yeah. It and particularly in the case of like Sean, he is a PhD in teaching people how to play guitar. So the professional education, the people who are professional
Right.
educators are really good at, explaining things and
Bringing you along, and
yeah.
I think that's phenomenal. So overall, well, no, before we get to overall, is there anything that surprised you, either good or bad, in your experience, guitar experience?
Um, like the guitar in general or
Well,
just the
just in the learning process, was there anything that you felt, wow, that,
a lot of light bulbs went off with like finally seeing it explained on paper, things that I've been hearing my whole life.
right,
And so that's kind of I I think it surprised me how much I did know based on what I've heard and paid attention to my
right,
whole life, that I just needed to know what the word for that was.
right, yeah,
And and one effective tool for that was just going over a couple of really basic, the top 10 songs out of the real book that everybody learns when they're first starting out. Is like, oh, that's what that's called. Okay, I've been hearing that, that interval my whole life. And then the other thing was I didn't expect to be talking so much about horn players
yeah,
and where the melody lines come from in these songs,
yep,
and soloing, really talking, everybody kind of talks about horn players while they're teaching you to play guitar.
right. Well, this is not classical guitar.
Right.
Classical guitar is a whole different world. That's where the guitar is playing everything simultaneously and all that. Um, Jazz guitar is broken into basically harmony and melody
Right.
for the most part, unless you're a soloist, like, core melody guy. That's a whole different story. But for the most part, we all deal what most of us listen to most of the time. is harmony and melody, whether it's improvised or not. And and those great melodies are all, all came from horn players because they
Mhm.
play a single note
Yeah,
and they play lines. And if you've never heard the term lines, you've never talked about jazz guitar or jazz at all, because
yeah,
that's what we're all kind of dealing with. How does, what line am I, the lines are the sequence of notes that you play over the harmony.
yeah.
And
So that I would definitely say that surprised me the most is that learning how to describe on paper stuff that I had heard in my head.
yeah,
And so that takes a lot of the intimidation of learning theory out when I'm like, no, I've heard this before. I'm just learning what they call it or how it
yeah.
works, you know.
Yeah, you know more than you think you do,
Right.
because I mean, if you own a guitar, you've heard these terms. I think that the brave thing for most people to do is to just ask questions.
Yeah, definitely.
So many. I've been around. I used to teach guitar somewhat. I'm not a good teacher because I'm impatient. If you
Yeah,
don't study, if you don't work, if you don't work on what I'm telling you, then you're wasting my time, and I don't have time to waste.
right.
I'll tell you a quick story. People have asked me to if I would teach, and I say, yeah, I'll teach you, but you're not going to want to do it. I said, why? He said, well, your first lesson's $500, and I'll give you a whole shitload of material. And your second lesson isn't until you bring back that material and you can prove to me you've worked on it.
Right.
Because when I was a young guy, I taught and I would give people stuff, and you know, they would come from one lesson, and the next six lessons, they would give me excuses why they didn't have time to play.
Yeah.
And so it just didn't work for me. But at any rate, I think where was I? I lost my page on all of that. That you need to be able to ask the questions because everybody's afraid to sound stupid.
Right.
They don't want to sound stupid. And then the other thing that is really difficult for people that are coming along is the amount of expertise that has complete ignorance. If you go online and you hear people,
Yeah, don't go online.
yeah, if you go online and you hear people talking about stuff, you just want to go, man, one of the best, I mean, now this is going to get somebody upset. One of the best teachers in the whole wide world that I have ever met is a guy named Kevin Bales. And Kevin is a jazz pianist here in Atlanta. He's played all over the world. Um, I've listened to this guy play. His solos are unique. I've heard him play 1,000 solos. I never heard the same solo twice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he's just unbelievable in that way, unbelievably creative. And he taught at Georgia State when I was there. I think he's still down there. And somebody asked him about modes, and he laughed. He said, "I don't want to know shit about Greek islands, because they're all
Right.
named after the Greek, you know." And yet you'll get these guys that'll get on these forums, and they'll just and you just want to go, man, you throw up your hands. So don't do that. Find a great teacher, someone that knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't teach modes. There are times for people to learn that kind of stuff, but you get the idea.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah. And one of the great things about this camp, and I'm sure other camps, is that everyone, you know, Jeff and Sean and Pat just reinforce the whole time, like, hey, if you have any questions between now and next year, if you're coming back, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to help, you know.
that's fantastic. Well, so overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, one being the lowest, 10 being the highest, what was your ranking of your experience?
Oh, absolute 10 out of 10. Highly recommend it for everybody. I mean, I know that sounds like, nothing's perfect, but it really, um, I would really would encourage people to do this before they're retired. A lot of people are wait until,
Yep.
I'll do that, after I do this.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'm 49 and I was definitely the youngest person there. And I, it's, they're not cheap. They're expensive experiences,
Right.
but so worthwhile. I got more if you're the type of person who learns like I do, like I like to take one chunk of information and really digest it over a long period of time. I'm not a
Right.
weekly learner like you were talking about your students. That was me trying to play saxophone when I was a kid. I learned how to sight read really well, so I faked my way through you know, every supposed lesson was just, here's some new sheet music. So I just sight read it, and she's like, "Oh, you've been practicing." Yeah. But going to a camp like this just gives you this giant pile of information, and it allows me to pick through it and dissect it and, work on it at my own pace. And I'm looking at it as, here's all the stuff I have to work on so that I get even more out of the camp next year.
So you're going to go to camp next year.
Absolutely. I will go every year that they will have me. Um, it's uh,
I
it's
think
great.
I'm going to try to make it next year.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I'm going to try. So let's get to the part B of your experience,
Okay.
and that is what was it like to be in Paradise Valley, Montana?
Mhm.
How is the surroundings? How is don't let's not talk about fishing yet. That's coming.
Sure. So if you fly,
Yeah.
um, I landed in Bozeman, and
Okay.
I don't think I've ever been there before. If I did, it was on a little road trip when I was a kid or
Right.
something.
Yeah.
And uh, I live in mountain paradise in
I
Colorado.
was going to say you're already in.
Yeah, I'm not, mountains aren't a new thing for me that I'm not surrounded by every day, but Bozeman is special. You land in the airport, there's not mountains to the west. You're completely surrounded, and it's just beautiful. And there's the drive over to Livingston is about a half hour or so,
Yeah.
and it's just gorgeous. You're just surrounded by, wildlife, and there's still flowers, and it's just a really pretty part of the Rocky Mountains. And
Mhm.
coming down into Livingston, you the river's right there. Um, the Yellowstone River, and it's amazing. One thing we don't have in Colorado, aside from the Colorado River, are these big, huge, 100-yard wide rivers. Ours
Peter,
are a
Peter,
lot
Peter
smaller.
Rivers. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was just that kind of that surprised me. I had been to Yellowstone Park when I was 17, but I don't really remember much of it. So we didn't get into Yellowstone Park. Livingston is about, I think, a 40-minute drive from
Right.
the
Yeah.
gate. But the hotel's great. It's much like the hotel we have for the Archtop Festival.
Right.
And everybody meets there. There's a little welcome reception. You get to say hi to everybody. I was the new person, so there were people who knew each other from other camps and from that camp, and everybody's super friendly. And then you wake up the next day and go to the ranch, which is this really cool, huge barn that's been converted into a theater, or I don't know if it was built that a theater built to look like a barn. I'm pretty sure it was a conversion because they have the stage like on the lateral side, and then the
Right.
other side are garage doors that roll up, and there's a sloping amphitheater behind it. And there's the green room upstairs is like one of the breakout rooms, and
Right.
it's just a really there's a lot of history in that place and some really cool. It's a very cool vibe to just be away from everything and focus on. There's a morning session and then lunch and then an afternoon session. And when we'd go on breaks, you're just literally leaning up against the split rail fence in the middle of Paradise Valley, just staring at the mountains, and it's a hell of an experience. It really is.
Saying Kevin Costner dialogue. And the food?
Great. Uh,
I
Fantastic.
mean, everything tastes good out there.
I just got back from Chicago, so it's kind of hard to compare food.
Well, yeah, I mean, Chicago, that's a whole, you know, everything was great. All right, so now let me, my son-in-law, who's an avid fly fisherman, and I used to fly fish a lot, so I've got 4 or 5 Winston rods and one
Yeah.
Sage, and the whole night. I used to go almost 4 or 5 days a week because I got a river just across the street here,
Yeah.
and my son-in-law made the astute comment to me one time. He said, "Trout don't live in ugly places."
That is true. Can confirm.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, they don't live in ugly places. If you think about all the great trout rivers in the country, they're in just magnificent settings and all that. So that's wonderful. Um, and of course, your host, Aaron, um, can't be a nicer person in the world. I
Yeah.
mean, I think she's just phenomenal and love her. And
Yeah.
so it was a great time. The fishing was good.
The fishing was. So, again, for people who would be thinking about this, like, I don't know, I'm not a professional fisherman. Why would I go fishing? Well, it's kind of the same thing with me being not
Yeah,
a
guitar.
professional guitar
Yeah,
player. There were only two or three of us who fished
right.
often, if ever. And so a float trip, this was actually my first float trip. I've been fishing my whole life, but this
So
was my
of
first
all the
trip.
campers, there was only 2 or 3 that went, or there were 2 or 3
Two or
that.
three, no, everybody went.
Okay,
Everybody
all right.
goes. So you get on a small boat. It's a small fiberglass boat, and there's
Yeah.
a seat, and they the river, I mean, it's not whitewater. It's just nice and slow.
No, it's a float trip.
Yeah. Um, and the guides are really great, professional, and they'll, even if you've never been fishing before, you still have fun. And if you've been fishing a lot, but I've never done a float trip, it was fantastic. And,
Right.
it's the Yellowstone River. It's great.
The,
And my boat partner was Sean McGowan, and that was the second time he'd been fishing in his whole life. The other time being the previous Pete Hutlinger camp. So he caught a couple. Um, I did all right. It was just great. So the fourth day of the camp. So it's arrival day, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday. It's a full day, fully guided trip. All you have to bring is basically sunblock and a hat. They provide everything else for you.
fly rod, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. Yeah, I brought my wading
Was
shoes,
it? I mean,
but I didn't even need to do that. I
was
mean,
it a 5 weight or a 6 weight or what weight?
I had a five.
A five?
I can't remember. The
Now,
six,
now the fly fisherman in me
yeah,
is
yeah,
getting.
yeah.
I'm getting.
So here, all of our little freestone creeks, I mean, I'm using a four.
Well, of course, yeah, or a
Yeah.
three even. Threes are fun.
So that's what I'm used to. So it was definitely different, but it took me a while to get the motion down. But again, I'd love to do it again. It was a lot of fun. So even if I mean, if you've never ever fly fished before, you can still just hang out on the boat, and like it's still fun. It's a heck of a trip, and they had a lot of people on the river that were like, they're not even fishing. They have like these 6-seater tour boats that
Right.
float, because
Sure.
you spend 5 hours floating casually down a river
Through
sightseeing.
heaven.
We
Just
saw we saw two golden eagles.
now
I've
that's unusual.
Yeah, I've never seen one in Colorado up close, and this one was in the river, like right above us. And then
Yeah.
it could have been the same one, but I don't think so. It was on the other side. Maybe it was the same one downstream. We saw a bald eagle, a couple deer, a bunch of osprey, huge pelican. It was just like
Yeah, it was
while I was fishing. It's
well,
just a killer experience.
we've got bald eagles now in in Georgia, which is really cool. So I used to paddleboard a lot. In fact, I can't wait to get back to it and so go out on the river here. It's called the Chattahoochee River,
Hmm.
and it is one of those 100-yard wide or
Yeah.
more, type things. And it's where I live, it's a slow float, and it's pretty nice. I used to back in the day when I was still working and had some discretionary money. On my birthday, I used to go on a float trip every year. There's a company here called the River runs through Atlanta,
Yeah.
and the guy was great. And he would, and the term that he put you on to fish, and then if I I'm a medium fly fisherman. I'm no Lefty Cray, as they say. He's he's the Wes Montgomery of
Fly
of
fishing.
fly fishing casting. The guy,
Yeah.
you know, but I reasonably okay, and always had a ball. So it's a wonderful experience. Those guys make sure that you have fun and that
Yeah.
you catch fish. Probably going to catch. They're going to show you where to do it, how to do it, help you get it there,
Yeah.
and that's what they do all day, every day. I mean, that they know how to do it, and
Yeah.
it's a great experience. I think Aaron is it's just a brilliant idea. I think because yeah, this is not an inexpensive adventure. There's no doubt about it. But let's face it. If you're a jazz guitarist, at a certain age, you've earned this in your life. To
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
treat yourself to this kind of thing. And I have a saying that a girlfriend of mine we used to say, "If not now, when? And if not us, who?"
Yeah.
If not now, when are we going to do this? If not now. And
Yeah.
then the other one, if not us, who? So someone, they used to say to her, someone's going to be sitting on that airplane going to Paris. You know, it might, why not us? If not now. So, and that's the whole thing. So if you've ever thought about it, um, this is such a cool trip.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I mean, it is such a cool trip, man. If you're a guitar player, Um, actually, even if you're not a guitar player, but if you're a guitar player, to get world class instruction from some of the coolest guys on the planet. There are some teachers that are a pain in the ass. I don't care for, but these guys, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
But these guys are just great guys, are fantastic educators, great players, great setting, great host. I mean, just though, I mean, this thing is just like it's a 10. It's a 10 with a bullet.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. So I know next year she's going to do it again. I think she's going to play with the format a little bit, and because they have acoustic fingerstyle and jazz, and I think she's just going to pull it together and call it guitar, and which will give some
Yeah.
people a little more
There,
to deal with.
yeah, there was there were a lot of students in, it was jazz week, but it wasn't just, I mean,
Right,
that was kind of the lean, but it wasn't,
right.
you know,
Yeah,
head focus.
and jazz is this four-letter word that doesn't need to be a four-letter word. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? I mean,
Yeah.
one of the things that we try to do with the magazine is try to educate people as to what that means and what it doesn't mean, and try to pull it out of the bad language
Yeah.
category. I've quoted as saying that, a friend of mine who's very, very popular on YouTube said if he puts jazz in the title of any of his videos, that takes the viewership and drops it by about 75%.
Yeah.
So we fight the good fight. We fight the good fight. We make a. So it was overall a great experience, and you loved it. So now that I've got you here, I think we're done talking about the
Yeah.
fly trip.
Whatever.
Yeah. Um, you have another thing that you do. For those of you who don't know, but I don't know of anybody on the planet that plays archtop guitars and all that doesn't know that Peter Henriksen is also the founder, originator, guiding light, director, grand poobah. And as he sits up straight, I'm giving puts out his chest,
Uh,
of the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival,
mhm.
which to me is the epicenter of all of it. You've done an amazing job of putting that together. I've attended a couple of them. I was not at the last one. Darn it. I wish I was. But I'm planning on being at the next one. You were holding them every year, and then you decided this year that it's probably smarter to do them every other year. Uh, Two
Yeah.
reasons for that that I can think of is one is that you do have another job.
I do.
Yeah, and putting a festival like that together, if you've never done the production of an event, you literally have no idea how much work it is. It's like an iceberg.
Yeah.
You see, it's like, or the duck swimming is not even close to it, but it's like an iceberg. You see this little thing called the Rocky Mountain Archtop Festival show that you go to,
Yeah. I
but
think that's the reason that people start events is because they don't know how
they
hard
have
it's
data.
going.
Yeah, if you know, you don't do it. But the amount of work and back, to create an event like this is it's I mean tremendous doesn't cover it. I don't even have the words for it.
Me neither.
It's Herculean and that's not hyperbolic. I mean it is just beyond. So thank you very, very much for all that work you're putting in to pull this together. And the other thing is that I've done it with OPM.
Yeah.
I've done it with other people's money, and and it was crazy. And you got your ass on the line. You
Yep.
know,
It's just me.
it's just like,
Just me.
this is you've heard of Bank of America. This is Bank of Henriksen. I mean, it's like it's an unbelievable commitment, in every regard
Yeah.
to put this show on. So it's financially, it's your family, your time, it's the business, it's everything to put this truly, it's beyond world class. It's the envy of the world class, if you will. Show because it's so much fun. It's not just a bunch of guys getting together, chatting about. I mean, it's just a fun thing.
Yeah.
And Arvada is just a cool town, and it's just and everybody goes. It's really, really cool. So the question I have for you is, are we going to see a festival next year?
We are. I don't have the ink dry on the contract, but we're looking at the third weekend in September of next year. I'll certainly announce that publicly as soon as it's ready to go, hopefully in the next couple weeks.
Right.
Um, it will be we're going back to a 3 day model. Adding Thursday was a bit of an overstretch. Uh,
That's how you learn. You know.
yeah, I mean, everyone who stayed an extra day loved it, but
Yeah.
it's not just a financial stretch for people putting on the show. It's, an extra day in a hotel and an
Just being
extra,
away from home.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just taxing. So I think for the Archtop Festival, we really have it nailed with a Friday arrival, a Friday evening concert. Saturday is just awesome, wall to wall
Bedlam. Yeah.
guitar, a big, you know, uh, a big concert Saturday night, and then all day Sunday, guitar, 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 guitar with a, early Sunday afternoon about 4 o'clock matinee kind of show to close everything out, and then that's it.
Well, a good friend of mine, John Sternberg, R.I.P., the smartest man I probably have ever known. And I don't, I consider myself to be blah 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 blah, but John is somebody I really looked up to. I mean, he just, if you wanted to know the answer to a question, he just had a way. He was so intelligent. It was just crazy. And one of his pieces of advice was, and this wasn't unique to him, but he said, just leave them wanting more.
Yeah,
And it was just so simple that when he said it, I've heard that phrase my whole life, for different, but when he said it, I went, okay, I'm paying attention to that. Because, it's like what did somebody say? There was somebody was talking about there's a period in every experience where you've crested, you've hit this and any more and it starts to diminish in its value. And that that too much of a good thing. It's like sushi. You eat sushi?
Yeah, I did.
Man,
Yep.
I mean, I love sushi, but you know, when you've had just too much, all of a sudden you go, why did I eat? It's like the first 10 pieces are like, oh my God, why don't I eat this every meal? And if you go too far, it's like, I'm never eating this shit again. And that happens really, really quick. So, so when you come to any experience that you have, like whether it's going to Disneyland or you're being in Paris or anything like that, there's a time when you just go, wow, this is crescendoed, and it's time to light a cigarette and sit back,
Well, I wouldn't say fulfilled after last year's show, but the 2024 Archtop Festival happened at the tail end of a lot of other stress with
Right.
us having to move the factory. And
Yep.
um, we, uh, completely honestly, very much considered that being the last one ever because it was just so
You were
much.
done.
Yeah. And everybody, I take it as a compliment, says, from the outside, it looked super, everything seemed like clockwork. And that was a near impossibility for me to pull off. And going every other year, actually, I talked to Chris Herod, who used to run the Healdsburg Guitar Show, and they did every other year. And um, after talking with the luthiers, who, I've in addition to being a terrible guitar player, I've never built a guitar either.
Right.
So
Me, me.
I only sort of know what
I've
goes
I've
into
only sort of destroyed a couple by trying to be a luthier.
it. Right. But they don't exactly come off the assembly line. So for, the Archtop Festival it's not a, it's not a municipal jazz festival where it's all about the playing of the music. It's a
Right.
Luther festival celebrating the people who make these guitars that we play. And for them, in every year show is kind of hard. They really struggle to have an instrument to show that's
Yep.
finished and ready. And
That they don't sell because that takes, money
yeah, it's not
out
like
of their bottom line.
you don't have a stock of instruments. So having 2 years to plan is a lot more convenient. And also, it's a lot better to stretch out the expense of the show over 2 years.
Oh yeah.
When you're pitching somebody a lifetime instrument that is it's an heirloom quality instrument. It is something that it's, it's that special. You can do that every other year. That doesn't have to be every single year. It's not
Right.
like, you know, it's not like one of the bigger companies at a NAMM show. Like we got to do something special this year and something
Oh
special
man,
this
I
year.
I spent 30 years doing that, so
Yeah.
I understand that.
So there's a downside that you lose some momentum going to an every other year thing, but I don't think so. I think we
I,
maintain
I, I
some
don't think
consistency.
so at all. I think I don't, that would be the question. Are we losing momentum? Are we losing our, and
I
no,
don't think so.
because of the uniqueness of the event, people are going to look forward to it.
Yeah.
NAMM became, I mean, my first NAMM shows in 1984,
Hmm.
it's like oh God, this is amazing. I can't wait. I'm getting to meet all these people. I mean, and then my last NAMM show was, I mean, I gotta fucking go to that thing again. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it just came around too fast and all
Yeah.
that because it was a giant pain in the ass. It was no longer fun.
Yeah. But
And now this is I was working it,
right.
like
Right.
you're working I mean that this I wasn't going there to, to see
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
new stuff and have a good time. I was working it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got up in the morning and I hit that floor. I had to be like this for the whole time, and then dinners afterwards and all that
Yeah.
kind of crap. And it just came around too much. And so what I did at one point is I said I'm taking an hour every day to be a fan and just go to all the booths I want to see. I want
Yeah.
to go here. I want to go here. I want to go here. I want to go here. Instead, I got to take some time for me, and that's where I met people like Alan Holdsworth and Kenny Burrell and got to see Joe Pass and Herb Ellis and all that kind of stuff. It was a very, very, it was a very, very cool event from that point of view. But
Yeah.
I think every other year for what you're doing and also people that want to come regularly. It's not cheap if you're coming from the East Coast.
No, it's not.
You got to get a hotel, you got to get a plane trip, you got to, I mean, it's a thing, and I think it gives those people too. I mean, the people that that to come to the show, it gives them some time to save up some money. So I think that as soon as we'll start telling people, hey, save your nickels, save
Yeah.
your dimes, get your
Yep.
tickets, and all that kind of thing. Because
And one
I,
special thing about next year also, 2026 will be the 20-year anniversary of Henriksen amplifiers.
oh
So
wow.
we will have made it 20 years in this crazy business. So we're definitely going to make some kind of big deal out of that. We're going to try to showcase, people who've been with us the whole time and, just try to uh, do something cool. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but
Well, there's only, in the industry that I was involved in, which is like, the music industry
yeah,
and audio and professional audio and AV and all that kind of stuff. Um, the two companies that have been around since dirt that have got what I would call critical mass would be you and Benedetto.
yeah,
And I think that I don't know where I'm going with this, to be honest with you, but I think that's it's just a big deal that
yeah. It's hard to make it that long. I mean, this is a really tough
yeah,
business, and
it is. And my hat's off to you, and of course I honor your dad, Bud,
yeah,
who came up with the idea for this product, and then you guys grabbed it and ran with it. So it's a phenomenal success story. But like all successes, you got to keep doing it. You got to keep working out. You got to keep going to practice. You got to keep, if you're a football player, you got to keep doing the reps. If you're a
yeah,
basketball player, you got to keep doing it. You got to keep it. So it's a lot to keep an organization up and running. And in some ways, there's the entrepreneur and then there's the managerial facet of all businesses. I'm a great entrepreneur, but the managerial part of it, I would get bored, and I wasn't very good at it. But you've done an amazing job of, you know, of the creativity part of it, and also the managerial end of it,
right.
and keeping that
It's
right. That's a big
it's really
deal.
hard to wear both of those
It
hats.
is it
Uh,
is for me. I can't do it.
yeah, that's a split brain thing.
It
Like
is a
I have
split brain thing.
to
I can't do it.
if we have like a marketing deadline coming up, I
Yeah,
basically have to go work off site. Like I
yeah.
can't, it's really hard. Um eventually as we grow, I keep trying to fire myself. So I keep like
I tried to do that. I tried to do
um,
that. Didn't work out so well because I couldn't find anybody that cared as much as I did in the way that I wanted them to care. They may have. I mean,
right.
life
As a
goes
small
on, but
business owner, it's really hard to do that.
it is. And I was the owner of my company as well. And but you and Howard Paul are two unique individuals in that capacity. Because both of you have both of those qualities. And Howard's out gigging like I don't know how many nights a week he's out gigging,
Yeah.
and yet he's also a business executive and has to make those kinds of things happen. So it's pretty crazy. Um, Anything else you want to add before we say goodbye to everybody?
Um,
Any new products you want to talk about?
Not until next year.
You gonna send me a t-shirt?
Yes, I can. We got new t-shirts.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I need one. Large is fine. I swim in them these days. But I don't like the tight shirts either.
Yeah.
So I'm
Now
good.
these are super comfy. It'll quickly become your favorite shirt.
I'm looking at it going, when I saw the logo when you showed it the first time, but man, I'm loving it on the shirt.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, whoever did it, did you? I mean, who's the artist? That very very good. It's very very cool.
It
And
took me 20 years to come up with a logo that I liked.
I I gotta tell you, I had to put a logo on the company that I had, and I couldn't believe how hard that was.
Yeah.
And what we came up with was nothing. I mean, it wasn't a logo, it was nothing.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to do that. And
It's really hard. People are very some people specialize in it. Honestly, a logo is not really that important. It's helpful for branding, but it's not critical.
you just needed to identify your company.
Yeah.
That's
And
all. If people see that, they know, oh yeah, it's like,
but
it's not if you got a shitty product, your logo is not going to save you.
exactly.
Yeah.
So for us, we had, always like just the name of the company, and that's fine. But I always wanted something. I really started this venture because I wanted custom picks. And I'm like, all right, I need something that's round that would, fit on a pick. And that's what I do. I just dove into it and I stayed buried in it until I came up
Well,
with
do me a favor, Mr. Pick guy. This thing is, you can see that thing's made by a company called JB, and they don't make them anymore.
Mhm.
And it's made out of some kind of a wood from South America, and it works like the you're not going to be able to hear this, but it pulls like it's got like a rosin on a bow kind of feel to it. It holds onto this. It just it just it's got that you can almost hear the rosin pulling the bow. When you do it. So that's one cool pick. And then this one, which everybody is familiar with. Come on, camera. It wants to, yeah, put it on my nose. People will see it. Uh, Now, who is the guy that makes these things? It's I guess, German company, the white. I can't even think of the name of it. But you can't get these damn things. I mean, it's the guy makes them himself, I think in his basement or something like that. And so when you go into the pick business, I got a couple of things. I'll send you a couple of picks and you can check it out. But man, a lot of people have been in that space. Now, if you're
Well,
talking about just
for
if you're talking about
starters,
if you're talking
let
about
me
making
reassure, let
what?
me let me reassure you, I have no plans on getting into the pig business.
I was encouraging you.
No.
So we're basically talking about, Fender mediums with your logo on it.
Yeah, I just wanted a logoed something. But what I
Somebody,
have learned on this journey is that there are dozens of picks that people love. And I have sat down at a table with people for an hour talking about picks and
oh,
different.
I
So
could have been on that panel.
I really they just had a pick tasting panel at the Fretboard Summit in Chicago,
Yeah.
and gave me an idea for something similar at the Archtop Festival. We should have a pick table, like, try this one out, try this one out. Oh, have you tried this one? Because it's like hours of conversation about picks.
I'll tell you what would be very cool, and it would actually bring in some more sponsors, is do it for strings. Do it
Yeah,
for strings. Because there's a lot of discussion online about gauges of strings. Does that make a difference? Which, is it, do you want bronze? Do you want do you want chromes? I mean, what is it? What sounds best and all that kind of thing.
yeah,
But I mean, if you did something with strings, um, I mean, picks are fun. Listen. I've got, this little guy right here. This is a blue chip,
yeah,
and I mean, these things are about $30.
yeah. We
It's
ordered a set of Apollos and I've already lost two of them. It's like $90 that is just somewhere in my office. I
well,
can't find.
these are wagons, and they make wagons in black and they make them in white,
Uh,
and they're expensive. They're like, they could be $8 to $15 or even more a piece. So here is a blue chip, and I've got one of these things that's really, really thick that cost me $75, which I will never do again, but I bought it when I thought I had money. All right. So, and they only make it in that color. And you can get this in black and you can get this in white. Now, when you're on a stage and you're not, some rock guy who's got 40 picks on his mic stand,
yeah,
and you want to know what, and you drop this thing. If you drop the blue chip, you ain't finding it. it melts into every freaking carpet in the world, and you just go. And people are wondering, I got to find my pick. I got to find, and they think you're nuts because yeah, pick that those things 5 cents,
Yeah.
but you can find that. So that's one aspect of the color. But I think I mean I'll talk picks until the cows come home. Because I've messed with a bunch of them. I had to give a bunch of them away.
All right. So what if we did at the Archtop Festival? What if we took two of those larger hotel rooms and we made one a pick room and one a strings room? And in the strings room, we could put a luthier bench in there for changing strings. And you could go in and try a bunch of picks in one room, go try a bunch of strings in another room.
I know guys like me would go, this is the coolest thing we've ever done. But I might be like 101, you
Yeah.
know? I
I
mean,
don't know. No, not after the conversations I've had. People really would sit around and talk about picks all day long.
oh man, yeah. And that well because it is your contact with the guitar. I mean, I also play a lot with, my fingers, because you can, I don't know if you can hear anything that I'm doing, but I'll play a lot with my fingers. And of course, Wes, played with his thumb. And so, but I want to be able, the size of the pick matters because I want to be able to put it between my fingers so I can, play with my, play like that, and then pull out the pick whenever I want. And you see, Joe Pass used to put it in his mouth like
Yeah.
that. And so it's got to taste good. Uh, but I mean, I got to tell you, I don't know if I would be the only guy there, but I would spend a lot of time in both of those rooms because
Yeah, I think you're right.
I just think, and I don't know what the economics is for like the high-end pick manufacturers. I'm sure it can't be, I don't know what it is. But strings, that's a whole different thing. You talk to those guys over there in New York on the Long Island and tell them what you're doing. They might pony up, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of string manufacturers out there. I think it would be very, very cool. The only issue you have, and I should say that the issue you have is what you've already identified, and that's changing strings on the same guitar to
Mhm.
hear differences. So, I mean, do you get the same, like, do you get four of one particular kind of guitar, like, something that's a manufactured guitar, like Eastman's got, could they send you three 910s? Or like, because they do manufacture them.
Mhm.
Um, and so you could have one with this gauge, one with you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah.
rather than changing strings. And then the other thing you could do is if guys bring their guitars and they want to go through this process and then leave with maybe a new set of strings, a new like instead of using 12s from this company, they've decided they're going to start using 13s from this company, or
Yeah.
they're going to they like this better and all that. But there's never been any place where you can go that I'm aware of and really listen to the differences and do the feel one at a time with different strings. I've never seen it anywhere. I've never seen it at an AM show.
I think that's a really good idea, and I will talk to Steve Bernstein about that idea because it would be on him to bring the
And
guitars.
he would do it. I mean, I know those guys well enough, and that's the only company I can think of.
Yeah, but
I mean,
we're also, I think we might be overlapping IBMA next year, so
yeah.
that might be a problem for Eastman.
Well, they've got more than one guy though.
That's
Um,
true.
and
I don't think
and
Steve does the IBMA because that's East Coast, right?
I mean, Benedetto does have a they've got manufactured guitars, if you will.
Yeah.
They're player guitars, even though they're incredibly, they're all still handmade, but maybe they would have one or two, I mean, two or three of a certain model, or maybe they could get ready to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll ask Howard, but I don't think they would ever have the stock inventory where you could have three of the same guitars with three different string sets on
Yeah,
them.
I have no idea. All I know is, like I said, I might be for a customer of said event. I might be one of one, but I would definitely be there because
Yeah.
I just think it's so cool.
Yeah, so D'Angelico gives away guitars like, I mean, they have the money to send five exactly identical guitars.
And they've got a couple of really cool guitars that
Yeah.
hit the price point, and they could send five of one guitar, four of
Yeah.
one guitar.
And then we
Uh,
could put five different sets of strings on each of the guitars
they
and
yeah
try these, try these. Okay, I like those. All right, let's put those on your guitar, see if you like that.
yeah, and you know between them and Eastman, they could probably cover that because you're going to need it to have a builder that builds for stock
Yeah.
and all that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not going to say that you understand where I'm coming with that. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want. I don't want to get too deep into a bucket of crap I can't get out of. But
Right, right.
I think it would be very cool. And
No, I like that. I like that idea a
you need
lot.
to have guitars that are the same, basically the same instrument.
Wonder
Uh,
if we could, would be a smarter idea is to set that up at the pick and parlor because kits
they've
in
got a
each
shop.
studio. Yeah. And we could just have like clear out some of his banjo inventory for the weekend and set up, even like here's a dozen identical D'Angelicos with a dozen different string brands types on them. And then you can just like, here's the same guitar. This is what it's like, with different strings.
And I think that would be great because he's got a shop right there. He could have a couple of extra guys come in if he wanted to, and then he could have inventory of strings,
Yeah,
and
he sells the
he
strings,
would sell. Well, he would sell strings to people and maybe a couple of guitars, and I
yeah,
mean it's driving people to his store
and picks.
and picks.
Yeah, the string and pick tasting. That's what they called it, the pick tasting at the Frontier Summit. Super creative.
And then you can go next door and get an ice cream, which is that's I have a friend that lives out there, which I don't know if you met her or not. Well, not Pam, but another friend who lives out there, and we actually had a date while I was out there,
Nice.
and went to dinner and did an ice cream and the whole nine yards, and so I've got very fond memories of hanging out at eating ice cream and Mexican food in Arvada. It's it is a wonderful, 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 wonderful place to be. It beats the Jacob Javits Center.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it sure as hell beats Anaheim. You know,
Oh my God.
I could go on and on. I've been at every venue in that does trade shows all over the country. But that's a tremendous experience. Well, Peter, we've talked about it. We decided that the Hutlinger Guitar Camp is definitely cool,
Hmm.
definitely worthwhile. One of the great experiences, probably, a great experience. I want to mention that Frank Vignola has camps a lot,
Yep.
um, uh, primarily on the East Coast, but he's going to Italy to put on one there, and they call it the Jersey Guitar Camps, and
I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that Frank and Joni plan on doing a camp leading up to the Archtop Festival again. We need to get on the same page with that. But
yeah, well, they do a tremendous job, and Frank is one of those guys that I mean, who doesn't love Frank?
he's Frank. He's the best.
He's Frank. He is the best. He is literally everybody's. He's got one of those. There's a few people that around that have that personality that just a guy that used to work for me who is now probably the most successful independent rep in the world right now. His name is Mick Beisel. Hey, Mick. He worked for me for about 20 years, and he's got a company called Vision 2 Marketing, and they basically rule the world in pro audio. And he's got that personality. I mean, everybody loves Mick,
Yeah.
you know. And Frank's the same way. I mean, he did and the beauty of these guys, it's not put on, it's not phony, it's
Mm,
not fake. It's just who they are.
yeah.
It's just great. So anyway, Bob Bakert for jazz guitar today with Peter Henriksen of Henriksen. What is the formal name of the company?
The IRS has us down as Henriksen Inc. Inc. So, we it's Henriksen Amplifiers isn't an official DBA. It's not registered or anything. So just Henriksen Amps is close enough
Do
for
you, is that what you, what's on your, do people have,
the website's henriksenamplifiers.com. All of our like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram are at Henriksen Amps.
okay. So we're going to go with either or. So Bob Bakert with Peter Henriksen of Henriksen Amps. I like that.
That's perfect.
Spending some time, sharing some laughs, and some really cool shit that has. I love using bad language. It's so great because people don't expect it. I love it.
There's no FCC on the internet.
You know what? I mean, I love it. It just gets everybody. Anybody who gets upset with that, they're not my audience, so I don't care.
I there's podcasts with business entrepreneur type of things, and a guy once said he's like, you can always tell who's real because they say fuck a lot.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
don't say the word fuck, you're not a small business person.
you're not involved. You know, you're you're not involved. Oh God, we could spend an hour on that conversation. Maybe
Right.
we will one day, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Peter, it's great seeing you, man. Thanks
Yeah,
a
you too,
lot.
man.
Bob Baker for and Peter Henriksen for jazz guitar. Oh, by the way, before we go, please like, share, follow, do all that stuff. Help us out. Send money. Whatever you want to do. Um, it really does help. We are officially a for-profit company, but you wouldn't know it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, have a great day, Peter. Thank you, man.
Good, Bob.
Bye bye.